will. O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all thy sons' command. Car ton bras s'est porté l'épée, il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée de plus brillant exploit. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Joel, once again, thank you very much for singing the national anthem. Anyone doesn't know, Joel's here faithfully every council meeting to sing the national anthem at the opening. We very much appreciate your presence again,
Thank you,
Joel.
Mr. Mayor.
And welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming. Are there any addendum items, Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. None this evening.
We have the agenda. Can we have a motion to confirm the agenda? Moved by Ms. Kenny and seconded by Councillor Main. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Are there any disclosures of interest? There being none, move on to determination of committee items requiring separate discussion. Councillor Bodner.
11, Mr. Mayor.
Any other items? Councillor Main, 15. Any others? Could I have a motion to approve the committee items not requiring further discussion? Moved by Councillor Bodner, seconded by Councillor Doucette. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. We have a number of presentations tonight. I'm going to go down, and our first one up is Annette Molnar. Thank you. It's my honor to honor one of our very long-term employees on the occasion of her retirement, Annette Molnar. Annette began working for the city of Port Colborne in 1978 at the Parks and Recreation Department on the third floor of 239 King Street, the old City Hall. She was just for a maternity leave for the Secretary of the Director of Parks and Recreation, Art Stead, and the Assistant to the Director of Parks and Recreation, Tom Lannon. Well, that just filling in turned into a complete tour of the City Hall, assisting as the treasurer, the Treasury Division with cashier duties during heavy water and tax due dates, backing up on the switchboard, and learning the duties of the records clerk and licensing clerk under City Clerk then Len Hunt and Deputy Clerk Pat Premy, who's here tonight as well. After 10 years with the city in 1988, Annette settled in the switchboard operator position. 6 years later, Annette moved to the mayor's office to work with then Mayor Bob Saraceno. Annette stayed on to work with Mayor Neil Schoen and Mayor Vance Badaway, including the move from King Street to the new City Hall here at 66 Charlotte Street. While working with these three mayors, she also provided administrative support to the CAO, Cecil Vincent. In 2001, Annette returned to her roots, and Tom Lannon, Tom's here this evening as well, in the position of Administrative Assistant to the Director of Community Services. Following the retirement of Lana Winfield in 2010, Annette moved across the first floor of City Hall to work with Peterson S., Director of Corporate and Community Services. This was the position she retired from. Annette, after 36 years service, I don't think there's a department that you haven't worked in. Perhaps the works yard's plowing. We certainly could have used you this week. What was the comment about fine fellow John or her husband? You have a wealth of knowledge about the workings of the city that will be truly missed. We would like to present a plaque to you as a remembrance of your days at City Hall. I'm asked to move forward. Okay. So we really get the press. Okay. Presented to Annette Mullner in recognition of 36 years of dedicated and outstanding service to the city of Port Colborne. Thank you on behalf of City Council, colleagues, and all the residents of the city of Port Colborne. The contributions your efforts have provided to our community will be everlasting. Again, it's signed by myself as your mayor. Thank you. And we have a gift for you, Annette. Annette admired a painting that was done by local artist Ann Rivers for a fellow employee, Jeanette Cressy, when she retired. The painting was of the new City Hall. That painting has since been donated back to the City Hall by Jeanette's family when she passed away and is scheduled to hang in the new Operations Center. We're not re-gifting. We were able to arrange to have this painting reproduced and framed for you, Annette. And I say the original will go to the new Operations Center as scheduled, but Annette really liked this picture, so we have, again, reproduced it and wish to present that to you tonight.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Rip it open.
She did.
Speech.
Stay. I've already got more pictures in there.
Annette, would you like to say a few words for us?
I will.
Good. We weren't sure you would.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. That is a beautiful gift, and the plaque as well, and I thank you all very much. I have a place for the painting, and it's very nice. Like I said, first time I saw it, and I said I really, really liked it. So I'm thankful that it was able to be reproduced, and I thank you all very much for it. I have just a few brief words to say. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge my family and thank them for their support over the years. My husband John and my sister Carolyn. They have been there to support me in whatever decisions that I made during my career and were there to listen when I needed a sounding board. I am thankful for my parents, for their guidance, words of encouragement and advice that they continually were able to provide to me. I would also like to acknowledge friends, former co-workers, and now fellow retirees who are here this evening. Tom, Pat, and Eleanor. When I started at City Hall at 239 King Street, they were great supervisors, co-workers, and friends to have, and we have continued to maintain that friendship over the years. As noted by the mayor, I worked in various departments and divisions. Being born and raised in Port Colborne, I found it to be a very rewarding and beneficial opportunity for my career to be with the city of Port Colborne. I was always learning something about my hometown and was able to apply this knowledge to my work on a daily basis. In closing, to past and present staff and counselors that I was able to work with over the past 36.5 years, it's been my pleasure. Thank you. And, oh, just one, I love retirement.
At this time, I'd like to ask Councilor Rod Bodner to come up and make presentations on behalf of the Hydro Commission.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. In addition to being a city councillor, I'm also vice chairman of Port Colborne Hydro, Inc. Our chairman, Vance Badaway, could not be here this evening and asked me to say a few words. Port Colborne Hydro, Inc. has been providing discretionary grants to the community since the authority was passed over to them by the City Council in 2003. We currently review applications twice a year. The first deadline for 2015 was actually October 31st, 2014, and the next deadline is April 30th, 2015. On October 31st, we received requests totaling $63,621 from 14 organizations. This evening, we are handing out 12 grants totaling $21,900. I'm here tonight with 3 other board members, Mayor John Maloney, Councillor B. Kenny, and our other member, Gary Bruno, I think has just texted and said he couldn't make it this evening. So both Mayor Maloney and Councillor Kenny will also be handing out checks on behalf of the Hydro. I will start off with the first 3 organizations. 79 Linton Davis Squadron, Royal Canadian Air Cadets, and if I can ask Mr. Terry Leibel, Nick Leibel, and Joe Balansky to come up, please. We have a check for $2,000 for you. And this is to provide funds to assist with paying for flying time for the cadets to achieve their pilot's license.
Mr. Mayor and Council, thank you very much for your ongoing continued support for our squadron. As was mentioned, these funds will be used to help cadets. Some of them will get their first and only opportunity to ride in a small aircraft through use of this funds. We're also hoping to use some of this as a basis to start providing some ongoing opportunities for continuation flying training for some of the cadets that have already had their pilot's license, but due to financial restrictions or opportunities may not have the opportunity to take it further. So we're hoping to help some of these cadets look at aviation more as a career as opposed to just an experience. Thank you very much.
Next up, we have the Boys and Girls Clubs of Niagara. Amanda Briett. Hi, Amanda. Director of Fund Development. And we have $1,500 for them. And this is to provide funds to support the operation and delivery of the Kids Zone program in the city of Port Colborne. This program is designed for children ages 6 to 12 years of age to encourage physical activity, develop social and leadership skills, and character through participation in a wide variety of gymnasium, arts, computer activities, games, and education club. It operates on Tuesdays and Thursday evenings from 6 to 8 at the Community Living Center. Let's say a few words.
On behalf of the Boys and Girls Club of Niagara, I'd like to express our gratitude for this donation. It's certainly going to go a long way here in the city of Port Colborne. It's going to help us to continue to ensure that every child experiences new opportunities, overcomes barriers, and builds positive relationships and new skills and confidence for life. So thank you so much. This goes a long way. We appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am. Next up, Community Living, Port Colborne Wainfleet, $2,000 check. Mr. Mark Gilbo is vice chairman of the board. And Rita Smith, is Rita with you? Rita? Come on up, Rita. This is to provide transportation and training for specialized workers needed for the 40 children of Port Colborne that attend the Boys and Girls Club Kids Zone program each Tuesday and Thursday at the Center for Community Living. Congratulations. Thank you. Say a few words.
Thank you. At Ron's request, I'm not going to say much. Thanks very much.
There really wasn't a request. He talks a lot, but he can say whatever he wants. But you know. At this time, I would like to call Mayor John Maloney up and present the next 3 checks. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Bodner. It's my pleasure to provide a check to the Royal Canadian Legion Branch 56. President Irene Leslie is here. Irene, could you come forward? The check is for $1,500, which is to assist with the purchase of a new furnace to enable the club to remain active and open, and to further assist with fundraising efforts to help veterans in our community. Irene, congratulations and thank you.
Thank you very much.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank the City of Port Colborne, the Hydro Corporation, for this lovely check. Thank you very much. It will help us out.
The next recipient is the South Niagara Rowing Club, a check for $1,300. And that Swed Barak is here on behalf of the Rowing Club. South Niagara's Rowing Club's mission is to bring new participants into the sport of rowing, to develop their fitness, athleticism, and rowing skills, and to further their interest, involvement, and achievement in rowing. These funds will assist with the repairs needed to the main docks at the club. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council, and Hydro Commission. This check will go a long way in the facilities for our club. Just to let you know that this past year, 185 new people were brought into the club, introduced to the sports, and that's what we want. We want to keep on growing. So I'm hoping next year we're going to be over 200. So thank you very much for this continued support. Thank you, sir.
And the final check for my presentation is to Steel Street Public School Principal Mark Piazza. Steel Street School will be celebrating its 100th anniversary in 2015. These funds will assist with hosting a memorable community event involving alumni, current members, and the public. It's a check for $1,700.
On behalf of the staff, students, and parent council members from Steel Street School, we're very excited to accept this check to celebrate our 100th anniversary. We're very much looking forward to it. Will happen later in June, and we hope that every member of council and every member of Port Colborne and future and past graduates of Steele Street School will come back and share this joyous time with us. So thank you very much.
At this time, I'd like to call Councillor B. Kenny up. He will be presenting checks and also the checks on behalf of Councillor Bruno.
Member Bruno. It's okay. Thank you. It's always my pleasure when it's time to hand out money back to the community. I always think it's really important that you always talk about people who volunteer and give back, and I always think it's great that we can do that as well. The first check that I have to present is to the Women's Place of South Niagara, and it's to assist with funding of programs and services for women and children who are fleeing from domestic violence. It's really unfortunate that the need of these services and this organization continues to grow, but they're able to provide that service. So I believe I have Stephanie Thompson from one of the board of directors. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you very much.
On behalf of Women's Place of South Niagara, I'd like to thank the Mayor, Council, and the Hydro Commission for this grant. We have to raise an awful lot of money to help women and children in abusive situations, and this is great help. Thank you very much. For Aaron McBride, if you can come up from the Y. Thank you. This is a check to the YMCA of Niagara, and this is to assist with the cost of providing the YMCA's Youth Action Group. Youth Action provides youth ages 9 to 14 with a positive social recreational outlet at DeWitt Carter School on Wednesday nights from 6 to 8, and the program provides an opportunity to build positive relations with other youth in the community. The check is for $2,000.
On behalf of the YMCA, I just want to thank you for your ongoing support and allow us to continue to serve the community through this program. Thank you.
Is Laura Cassan here? Thanks, Laura. Good. This is for the POCO Youth Center, and it's to assist with the cost of providing a supervised and safe drop-in center at the hub, which is right next door here, and it's for teens aged 12 to 18, where they can go and be free of judgment. Programs such as art, music lessons, creative writing, chess, sports, homework club, and mentorship will help enhance the strengths of the youth in Port Colborne. The check is for $2,000.
Thank you. On behalf of POCO Youth Center, we want to thank you for the grant. Alex Capellis was the one who had a dream to start a youth center in Port Colborne, and in September that dream became a reality, and it was only a short month later that he passed away unexpectedly. And so the POCO directors and volunteers are doing what we can to make this a success, and we really appreciate the grant, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And as Vice Chair Bodmer said, I'm presenting these checks now for one of our other members who's not here, and Linda LaMarche. Linda LaMarche is the committee chair for the Out of the Program, which provides a nutritious meal to approximately 80 guests every Tuesday evening. These funds will provide financial assistance to purchase a new commercial dishwasher for the hall, enabling them and the program to follow health and safety guidelines. And let me tell you, as a person who did Out of the Coal for many years, I think this is a really worthwhile money to hand out to help others in the community, and the check is for $2,000. Congratulations. Thanks.
On behalf of the Out of the Cold and the volunteers and the guests that we do serve, I'd like to thank the Port Colborne Hydro Incorporated for this grant money. Of course, if you've ever washed dishes for a huge number of guests, then you can appreciate a dishwasher that's working. So thank you very much for this grant money. Thank you.
Sheila Brown. This is for the Port Colborne Festival of Arts. The Port Colborne Festival of Arts is held annual to provide competitive classes for individuals and groups in vocal, instrumental, and in speech arts and dance. These funds will assist with the cost to pay for with their expertise, and the amount is $1,000. Thank you.
The Port Colborne Festival of the Arts will be hosting our 28th festival this year, and we are very grateful for this grant, and we will be able to, this will help to pay for adjudicators so that we may help to encourage and nurture the musical talent, not only in Port Colborne, but from children that come from all over the Niagara Peninsula to participate. Thank you.
Jack McDowell here? Let's see, Jack. Yeah, Jack. Okay, good. This is to the Port Colborne Operatic Society, and this is to assist with the cost of providing professional musicians to play with students during this year's performance of the Broadway musical Fiddler on the Roof, which our CAO plays the lead role. The Operatic Society has been hosting musicals in our city for 69 years, and the amount is $1,200.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'm Cheryl McPherson. I'm the president of the Port Colborne Operatic Society. I'd like to thank Mr. Mayor, Council, and the Hydro for this check that, the grant that will go to the musician in the pits, youth musician in the pits, that will keep our musicals going. Thank you very much.
Good.
I just saw a microphone, so I gotta say something.
Sure. Well, it wouldn't be right if you didn't say anything.
Okay, I've been in the Operating Society for 27 shows, and I gotta tell you, Bob Heil has been male lead this year, and he is doing one of the best performances I've seen in 27 shows I've been in. If you haven't got a ticket, come and see the show, laugh with Bob, and enjoy the show, and then you see what we're all about. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kenny. I even had a note, don't call Gary Councillor, but I did anyways. Gary, just from, because he was a councillor for so long in the city of Port Colborne, Gary's a board member with us. So, and Mr. Heil did not vote on that check that went to the Operatic Society, just in case anybody's asking. That concludes our presentation this evening. As I mentioned, the next deadlines for application is April the 30th, but for those of you here this evening, you can only apply once a year. So we hope you are satisfied with your application. If you would like any further information, please check the City of Port Colborne website, portcolborne.ca, or contact Nancy in the Mayor's office. Thank you very much.
Ask for approval of committee items not requiring separate discussion. And that is okay, I'm sorry. Mr. Stout, would you like to come up to the microphone and push the button? Our delegation this evening is Mr. Chris Stout. He's requesting an appeal on an open burning bylaw offense which received in September of last year. Mr. Stout, please proceed.
Yeah, I'll make this short and sweet. Mr. Mayor, council members, I received a open burning bylaw offense in September. That was the result of 3 notices that were issued to me last summer. I'm not here to actually appeal the offense. I'm here to see if the council and the mayor would look at possibly reducing the cost of the offense.
Does council have any questions or comments to Mr. Stout? Councilor Doucette?
Through you, sir, to Mr. Stout, were you charged all 3 times, or were you charged just the last time after the other 2
I
warnings?
received 3 notices that I acknowledged that I was doing open burning, and then after the 3rd one, I received the offense.
Councilor May?
To you, Mr. Mayor, to Chris. What exactly were you burning? Was this rubbish or trees?
It was, I had a small pot that I bought from Canadian Tire that had some sticks in it. And me and my boys were out in the backyard just burning some sticks.
So it was just wood, it wasn't garbage, or it wasn't
garbage or
anything
like
offensive?
that, no. I don't want to go into the details of it. There's a bylaw in place, and I received the offense.
Councilor Desmarais?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Mr. Stout. Mr. Stout, how much was the fine, and how much would you like it reduced by?
The fine was whatever I think it's like $490, something like that. And then I haven't paid it yet, so there's been some interest accrued on that. And actually, I think now it's been put onto my taxes. So yeah, it's over $500 now.
Thank you. Councilor Elliott?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To Mr. Stout. So it's around $500 plus interest, and you don't have a definitive number that you're looking for in a reduction for this?
No. I was just wondering where this can lead to. I have no idea if it can be.
You alluded to the fact that it was after 3 offenses that you received the fine?
Yes.
Were all 3 offenses for the same thing? It is a complaint-driven system.
Yes,
so
it's a
all 3
complaint-driven
offenses
system.
were the result of complaints?
Yes. And it's an issue, the complaints are I don't want to pass judgment on to anybody, or I have an issue with a neighbor that has driven this, that I'm working on.
Councilor Kenny?
Thank you, Worship. Through you to the Chief. Chief, I think we need to hear from you on this before we make any decision. One question I want to know is the 3 times that they attended this, and did the fire department go? How many people attended that? How much staff time was used? I'd like to hear from you, sir, before I make a decision. Thank you.
Go ahead. Chief Cartwright, please.
Your Worship, to Councillor Kenny. Yes, we attended 3 times on a complaint. That's the only reason we deal with them, unless they get it out of control. And we really, our hands are somewhat tied. If somebody complains that the smoke's bothering them, we have to deal with it and try to make that a constant thing we try to do in all cases. As far as staff time goes, the gentleman lives on Cedar Bay, getting from the fire hall to Cedar Bay, dealing with it. One of the issues that comes to light, if I may, is the notices are clearly say that if it continues, you will be issued a fine, and the amount, it's very clear on the notice, right on the front of the notice.
Any further comments?
I'm not
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Councilor Kenny.
That's okay, Your Worship. Thank you. Chief, so I guess my question is, did it take 3 times before you issued? So the first time you spoke to him, or somebody spoke to him and told him that it wasn't allowed to do that. And obviously that happened the 2nd time and the 3rd time. So is that correct, that he was spoken to every single time? And given that one of those every single time?
Your Worship, Councillor, that's correct, every time.
Thank you. Through you one more time. I feel bad that you got fined that amount of money. I really do. But I also look at the point that 3 times you were warned, and you know you have a neighbor that's not a very cooperative neighbor, let's just say. I think after the second notice, you should have said, I guess we can't do that. That's, okay, that's how I feel anyway. Thank you.
Councillor Bodnar, then Councillor Demeray.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Chris. Chris, you got this summons in September.
Yes.
And I'm just wondering why you're coming now and not October, November, or whatever as interest piled up. So.
Well, at first, when I first contacted City Hall about how I could proceed, I talked to Chief Cartwright. Actually, I spoke to him, and I understand the bylaw. And at the time, I know that you're going through elections, so it was a really bad time, I guess, in October and November. And then after that, I've been pretty busy in terms of getting to come into council, because I have 2 young boys in hockey that are here, there, and everywhere. So this was my first time I was able to actually come forward to council.
Bodnar?
Thanks, Chris. You alluded to the fact that it's $400 and some, pushing $500, but there was interest tacked on.
Yes.
Certainly after I hear from everyone, I would ask if council would consider waiving the interest fees on it and going back to the original charge, but I'll wait to hear from other councillors on this. Thank you.
Councillor Demeray.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Mr. Stout again. I would also echo what Councillor Kennedy was saying. By the third time,
too bad.
You probably should have chosen not to do that.
Yeah.
But I do understand that sometimes a $500 bill can be pretty onerous.
Yeah.
Would you be able to possibly make payments? Would that be something that could be worked out? Maybe we could consider.
That's fine. No, that's not an issue. I just thought that.
Okay. Well, and as Councillor Bodnar said, I would like to see the interest forgiven, the original fine stand, and possibly make arrangements for payments if that's needed.
Thank you.
Councillor May.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Mr. Cartwright, to Chief Cartwright. How many, I know there's lots of burning goes on in the city of Port Colborne. Anybody that drives around can smell it and see it. How many tickets monetarily do you get out in 1 year through the fire department enforcing the bylaw?
Your Worship, Councillor Main, in 2014 we issued bills, they aren't tickets, they're bills, in 2 instances. One was on a first occasion because the gentleman had torn down a house, lit it on fire, tied us up for about 5 hours, plus we had to get a backhoe in, so he was billed substantially more than this amount, and I think it was well over $2,000 because we charged cost and Mr. Stout's property. Those were the 2 occasions. We responded to 54 burning complaints in 2014, 3 of which were Mr. Stout.
Councillor Butters.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I concur with my colleagues. When I first saw this, I thought number 1, number 2, and then number 3. I'm like, oh no, please no. But it happened. So I would agree with Councillor Bodnar that to roll back on the interest, but just to the original fine. And I hope that you and your neighborhood make peace.
I have no choice. I have to. Yeah.
Councillor Bodnar, if there's no further discussion, Councillor Bodnar, do you wish to make a motion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion that the fine goes back to the original amount and the interest is waived on it.
Seconder for that motion? Councillor Butters. Any further discussion? Councillor Doucette.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I know we have quite a bit of power, but I am just wondering if the interest, do we have the ability to roll back the interest? Because I know in the past with Mr. Sinez, we've had discussions about other situations, and we have no choice. It's the way it is, and that's the way the Municipal Act does it, and that's it. So I would like to hear probably from Mr. Heil as to whether we have that ability or not.
Mr. Heil?
Your worship, through respect of taxes or water charges, it is set by bylaw, it is prescribed in legislation, and council sets it. In this case, it is a general bylaw of council, which determines an interest based on a default in payment. Council has the authority in this to do that. It does have the authority in other occasions, depending on the circumstances. In this, you can do this.
Any other questions or comments based on Mr. Howe's response? There being none, call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. We've waived the interest, Mr. Stout. That's the best we could do.
That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to Mayor's report. Since our last meeting, I met with Alistair Davies, who is the CEO of Habitat for Humanity. The organization is doing a renovation, which is their first, on a property in Port Colborne, which was donated to Habitat for Humanity. And they will basically gut the building. The bones are good, but it'll be a brand new house in the interior. And they were also looking in future for possible other building lots that may be surplus to the city's needs, and we'll probably hear certainly more from Mr. Davies from that. Evan, do you have any comments further on that? I know that you had talked with Mr. Davies.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this point, our discussions are just very preliminary, and I don't want to give any of Mr. Davis's plans away. So, unfortunately, no, I have nothing further to add. Thank you.
That's just fine. I also met with the CEO of the YMCA and one of the board of directors who lives in Port Colborne, Terry Cease. They will be coming to council within the next short while to make a presentation on the first year of their operations. Council may put questions to them and anything that you'd like. I attended a breakfast and with CAO Heil at the Business Education Council. It was actually, we were very well represented. One of the bands who were playing sort of a musical interlude before the breakfast started was from Port Colborne High School, and a drum corps basically started the breakfast off where they were from Lakeshore High School. So we were well represented as a community at the Business Education Council breakfast. And I think just perhaps a comment just to jog a little interest in your memories that the Flavors of Niagara had their initial meeting coming up. Mr. Hakem, do you have any comments further to that?
No, Your Worship. We just had a preliminary meeting, and there is a secondary meeting to discuss the marketing strategy for that. But as you know, we have set the dates, which will be rolled out very shortly, and we'll be coming back to council with a little bit more comprehensive report, just outlining some of the findings and some of the things that we want to do with Flavors this year.
Thank you, Mr. Hakem. Any councillors' comments or reports? Councillor Main? Councillor Desmarais?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to whoever can help me out with this. Shopping carts. We're becoming the shopping cart capital of the world. And it seems like they're quite a bit on the east side, quite a bit around City Hall, quite a bit in my district. What I was wondering is, could the bus routes be changed to stop at the grocery stores to pick these people up so that they don't have to load up their carts to take them home? They can hop on the bus and have the bus drop them off. Is that possible, or is that'll have to be a new contract? Thank you.
Is there anyone prepared to respond to that? Councillor Doucette?
We've discussed it at the Transit Committee meeting. We've been trying to find a way to get the bus to stop in that corner and making it safe. They're still looking into it. We know what you're talking about, and we definitely are aware of it, definitely is part of the Transit Committee discussions, but that's as much as we can, that's as much as I can give you right now. We are looking into it. One of the things that was discussed was either going, instead of turning on Catherine, why not go down all the way down to Elm, turn up Elm and come back this way and stop right in front. There appears to be a possible safety issue with people having to cross the street at that point. The other option is to try to turn in and come right through their parking lot, but there seems to be a legal issue there as well. So we're working on it. It's something that we are aware of and something that we are trying to find a solution to.
Any other comments? So basically, we're looking into it, Councillor Main, and we'll perhaps report back at the next meeting.
It's all in timing, because everyone should say, when we discussed it at Transit, we have a fellow from the Welland Transit right there, and his driver is all in the timing of the route. So if you change something, it affects everything else. So that's why it's the same within the summer. We have a literacy program for youth at our library, and parents are concerned that their children aren't going to be dropped off in a certain area. So we're trying to change the route for that 6 weeks in the summer to accommodate the literacy program. So anytime you make a change, it juggles the route for other people who are waiting in other areas. So that's where we run into the problem. Thanks.
Councillor Main.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to B. Kenny, to Councillor Kenny. Having said that, it's nothing worse than seeing these people with 1 week's worth of groceries in a cart trying to get across the bridge and up the street, especially this time of year right now with all the snow around. And I think that the route, this is supposed to be a community bus service, and it's supposed to serve the community. And I would think that, the majority of the people that use those shopping carts have no other way of getting around. So I think I would, if I was on the Transit Committee, maybe we have to put that on priority. Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Any other comments on this issue? Councillor Desmarais?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Excuse me. Through you to, I guess it will be Ron Hansen. I'm now the proud owner of a parking tag. My van was tagged this morning for interfering with snow removal. Not something I'm proud of, but it did happen. Unfortunately, I live in one of those properties over on the east side that doesn't have a driveway that will accommodate a van. So we have to park on the road. Well, and my husband usually plays tag with the snowplows and gets out there ahead of them, but this morning there was an unusual amount of snow and ice on the van, and he couldn't get it cleared fast enough to be able to drive away. So we got a tag. In any case. And we're not the only ones. The streets were well tagged today. But it created an opportunity for me to have another look at what we do and how we do it as far as snow removal goes and what our expectations of people are. And we do have some real problems where there are people who have no choice but to park on the street. That is their only choice. Unless, of course, we're not going to allow them to drive at all because, they shouldn't have a car. If they have it, they have to park it on the street in some situations. Over in Ward 2, we don't have the luxury of community parking lots, so there's no place to go and put your car. And there are really, if you have someone with handicapped issues and that sort of thing, them renting a spot 5 or 6 blocks away to leave their car in is not going to be of much help to them, because how do they get home? So we have some issues that need to be looked at, and then through a whole Facebook discussion that we had this afternoon on this issue, one thing that kept resurfacing was the idea of even odd snow plowing. And it's something I grew up with in Toronto, and I know that it works very, very well. It may take a while for a city that's not used to it to get used to it, but on even days, you park on one side of the street, and of course the other side gets plowed. On odd days, it's the other way around. If your car is parked where it's not supposed to be, it gets towed, and it's that simple. And that's how it works in those places. It does work. we may want to think about that. I don't know, but we definitely have some issues. I also did a whole drive-by of all of Ward 2 today because of this whole thing. Looked at all the streets, and yeah, the snow plowing leaves a lot to be desired, and I certainly wouldn't fault the snow plow drivers on this one. There are so many instances where you can see that they've had to weave in and around obstacles on the road. So, you know, as a result, the roads are a mess. They truly are a mess. And there's other instances where you can see people have cleaned their driveways very, very nicely and their sidewalks. But unfortunately, they deposited the snow out on the road. These things are not helpful. So we need a whole new education around this, and we might need to rethink this. A lot of comments came up from the downtown merchants today on this issue as well. They're upset too. So I think it's after this is all said and done and the snow is melted, we need to sit down as a council and as staff and work through the issue and take another look at how we're doing it. We may want to make some adjustments, maybe some simple things that will go a long way. And as far as Councillor Main, the shopping carts in Ward 2, don't worry, the plows are going to be picking them up. I saw 3 of them sticking out of snowbanks today, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of those gone. So we'll be okay with that. But there are all kinds of obstacles, and it is definitely a problem. But seriously, this is, I saw this coming fine, but there are people who have no choice but to get these. And, you know, it causes problems for everyone around. And I just think that if we sat down together, we may be able to come up with a better solution. So basically, that's what I'm asking for, is a task force on snow removal at the end of the season, because at this point, you can't, it's too late in the year to do it now.
Director Hansen, do you have any comments?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. One of the biggest obstacles we face in snow operations, snow removal, sanding all these cars on the street, and it's imperative that the vehicles are not on the road when operations are underway. Even odd works in big cities where there's a restriction, where there's no driveways, and people have to park either on one side or the other. But that doesn't apply during winter operations. During winter operations, the same rules apply. You have to get the cars off the road. You have to get them open. If any vehicles are left on the road, they're going to be plowed in. We have to go back. We spend a lot of money every winter going back and doing cleanup after the vehicles have actually been towed or moved out of the way because we've plowed around them. So it's a real problem. It's a problem in the downtown core as well. We've been talking this year about the response we've seen, and we think the incidences of red tagging and the vehicles that are on the street has improved this year. We're seeing a better response. Some of the chronic areas where we're seeing vehicles, the same vehicles all the time, we're seeing those move now after talking to the owners and using the red tag system. So I don't know what the answer is. In order to get the roads open, the vehicles have to get off the road. And unfortunately, if somebody doesn't have parking, one of the solutions is they have to actually get up when the plows are underway, get the vehicle just moved to the other side of the street if necessary, get their parking area plowed out, and then put the vehicle back. The vehicle isn't going to be red tagged as long as it's not impeding the snow plows during the operation. So whether it's a parking lot down the street or just moving to the other side, that's always an option for them.
Thank you. Any questions of Mr. Hansen? Councilor Demery?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one reply to what you've said there. That all makes good sense, Ron, and no doubt that we do need to get the vehicles off the street, but it's not working in all areas, and it certainly doesn't work for many people. And I won't say most. I'll just say many. But there are definitely a few issues that we still need to deal with, and we should be looking at as much as possible. I think a task force sit down and deal with all the snow issues. I mean, the downtown merchants are certainly, they would like to see that as well. I think that we have to have some stakeholders at the table, sit down, talk about it, see what we can do. There may be some easy solutions or some simple solutions that are going to be rather cost effective that we may be able to come to, but we won't know if we don't have the exercise of sitting down and talking about it.
Thank you, Councilor Demery. Any other? Councilor Doucette?
It's related to this, but it isn't exactly the same thing. One of the things that Councillor Desmarais mentioned is the fact that people are putting their snow out in the street. And I mean, was interesting today. I was watching people doing some snow blowing out my window, and that's exactly what they were doing. They were sending it out in the street. I went and spoke to a few of them, and I told them, I said, you know, that's against the law. And he said, well, where do we put it? Same place everyone else has been putting it, on your lawn or over the pile, but you can't put it in the street. I think it's important for everyone, all citizens, to understand it is against the law, and you not only can be ticketed by bylaw, you can be ticketed by the police. It's against the Traffic Act. And I'm hoping that we get cooperation from the press here this evening to say, guys, you can't do it. It's as simple as that. I know when I went and spoke to a few of them, they were very cooperative after, because they said they didn't know. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But these individuals indicated that they didn't know they could not do that. So hopefully this will make it very clear that you cannot do that. And it's not only in our community, it's all over Ontario. Period. You cannot put your snow in the street for the plow to take it over to your neighbors next door when he comes by again. You have to put it in a place where the plow will not be involved in taking it somewhere else. So I'm hoping that we can clear that up and make it very clear that that can't be done.
Councillor Bodnar.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wonder whether I might do a little public service announcement in my in my councillor's slot. Geez, I got councillors and mayors on the brain today. One of the other hats I wear is on the board of United Way. And United Way South Niagara, along with 211 Ontario Helpline, are asking residents to make the right call if they want or need help. Call 211 for information on your community, social, and health services if you don't know where to turn with a problem. Call 911 for threats or harm to a person or property that require police, fire, or ambulance services. Several regions and municipalities also have 311 customer service and municipal information lines for questions about municipal services. Knowing the right number to call with help will help residents find the right services for their situation and has the potential to reduce inappropriate calls to 911 from residents. 211 is an easy to remember phone number, like 911. 211 is answered by highly trained specialists who know our community services and can refer callers to services near them. This is Tamara Coleman-Lowry, Executive Director of United Way of South Niagara. 211 has information not only on services United Way supports, but all our community's social, health, and government services that can help you with any number of life's challenges. 211 is answered live, 24 hours a day, every day of the year, including holidays. Residents are encouraged to call 211 for services like food banks if they are hungry, mental health support if they are stressed, or for the non-emergency police number if they need the police, but it is not an emergency. 211 is your one-stop shop to find services that are often provided by any of the 3 levels of government, charities, and nonprofits. Everything from finding the phone number for Telehealth Ontario, to tax clinics for seniors and low-income people, to homework clubs and seniors centers. 211 is the Ontario helpline for community and social service information. 211 is answered live 24/7 by highly trained information and referral specialists. The database is updated by trained information resource specialists. 211 is supported by the United Way in Ontario and the Ministry of Community and Social Services. Interpretation of calls is available in more than 150 languages. So just some of the things you can call 211 for: Alzheimer's support, mental health help, Meals on Wheels, emergency shelter for homeless, services for domestic violence victims, public health, Telehealth Ontario, crisis services, provincial and local helpline phone numbers, settlement help for newcomers. housing help centers, youth drop-in programs, child, youth, and family counseling, emergency utility assistance, understanding which government services might help or assist, disability support programs, and parenting programs. So 211, although it's been around for a while, may not be known by everyone. So I just thought I'd bring this to the communities to highlight it, just so that everyone knows that that service is available. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Bodnar. Councillor Elliott.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess while we're talking about snow, I know, Ron, we're picking on you tonight. Downtown has been an issue and is an ongoing issue, and I just got a call today from another business owner that has an issue with a delivery that's coming in the next couple of days. They do not have a back door to get delivered to. The delivery won't be able to get through the snowbank to get into their store. We have to start removing the snow. I did happen to see somebody that was getting out of a, I'm going to say an assisted cab in a wheelchair. The taxi had to stop at the corner of King and Clarence, and he stopped out in the middle of the travel portion of the road to allow the gentleman to get out of the cab into his wheelchair, continue on. I don't know how he got onto the sidewalk and how he was getting around. It is becoming a mobility issue, and obviously an issue with some of the store owners. So I know there's an email that came out this afternoon about our options to consider with doing it. I'd just like to hear from you what you think is the best mode of attack for it.
Here, Mr. Mayor, Council, just a brief update. I think it's good news. We'll have our crews starting tomorrow morning, first thing. We've notified the businesses on Clarence Street this afternoon. The snow removal crews will be starting tomorrow morning. This operation takes about 10 to 12 days. We can do about a half a block, I should say half a day, you can do a block. So we'll be moving, we're going to start at Clarence and West, we're going to move westerly to Fielden Avenue, and then we're going to do King Street second and so on, and work our way through the downtown core. This is an operation we do every year, usually mid-February. It's well planned out, and it looks like finally the weather's going to cooperate in terms of snowfall. We had an event, of course, Sunday night into today. We were plowing again today and sanding yesterday. So the weather looks good. So we're moving towards getting this snow removed from the downtown. And like I say, 10 to 12 working days should do it. So on that basis, I've asked the superintendent to give me daily reports on the removal. So we'll update the website on a daily basis with the snow removal and try to do some public relations on this so that we're ahead of the equipment. We'll notify the downtown businesses as we move forward through the core, and hopefully we can satisfy everybody and get the snow removed in the next couple of weeks.
Thank you, Mr. Hanson. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Ron. In our conversation this afternoon, we're obviously restricted. You were saying restricted in time that we can remove because of where we dump. I had a conversation with somebody, and we talked about snow removal. Are we allowed to dump on our own property, or is it a specified site that the Ministry of Environment is looking for us to take it to? And what are the parameters we can dump under in an area?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. We have an approved site at Valley Inco. We've been using this for quite a number of years. When we had a problem a couple of years ago, we were looking for alternative sites. The city itself does not have a lot of properties where we could take the material. A lot of this material is contaminated with not only salt and sand, there's lubricants and so on from the vehicles that have been plowed off the streets. So it is environmentally sensitive that we get it to the right area. So we have a good site. The site is very close to the downtown, it's just a few blocks away. So we want to continue to use that site. So that's the method and procedure. The only restriction on that site at the present time is we can only do it during the daytime. So the working hours for the crews will be 8 to 4. We won't be paying overtime to do the removal. And it has to be that way because of previous complaints from the residents during nighttime operations due to the noise of the vehicles. So we're going to proceed on that basis, 8 to 4 weekdays.
Thanks, Ron. I guess one quick question too. For summertime, we hire part-time employees to come in for grass maintenance and stuff like that. Is there any way we can hire part-time people for snow removal And outside of contracting somebody to come in, have we looked at expanding our, I guess, resources for snow removal? I know that you run up against the 70-hour work week for guys, and then you got to reset them with their 48 hours off and stuff like that. But when we do, like I said, grass cutting and maintenance of gardens and things like that, we bring in high school or university students or whatever. Is there any way that we can build our force with part-time guys that are on a as-needed basis so that we're not running out of hours and manpower, and we can maybe get some manpower directed to issues that we need to look after?
Through Mr. Mayor, we actually hire winter temps every year. We have a couple fellows on staff right now that supplement our work staff. They're qualified people. They can run equipment and so on. These are the fellows you'll see digging out the windrows after a snowfall on the downtown sidewalks, this sort of thing. We also have a couple of things we utilize. We have a winter control contract that we let each year. There's a contractor right now that assists in the plowing in the Ward 4, plowing and sanding in Ward 4. That contractor works on a regular basis. He's racking up the hours this year because of the constant snow we've had recently. And we have an equipment rental contract that we put out every year. So we can bring in additional trucks, backhoes, all various types of equipment and operators that we can utilize at any given time. The biggest challenge right now, as you've alluded to, is the hours for our workers. Getting them, if we use weekends, for instance, we get them on the overtime, and we happen to be doing snow removal, we get into another storm, then we're really challenged with the hours. So we have to be very careful to manage the men's hours as best we can. But all those measures are taken into consideration during the winter months.
Thanks, Ron. I appreciate that. You know what, and the work that the guys do, they're basically in a no-win situation. They try to get all the streets that they can, and some are missed, and with the amount of snow we've got, there's going to be complaints all the time. But for the work and the hours that those guys put in, kudos to them for getting us through the last couple of events. Just two quick other items. This Wednesday at 6:30 at City Hall is the Downtown BIA's annual general meeting. So I'm encouraging anybody that's in the downtown and a member of the BIA to come out. All positions on the board are open for nominations and voting. And a board will be constructed after the meeting. It will come back to council for approval. So we're just asking anybody in the downtown BIA area to come out 6:30 here at City Council. And I'm going to throw the next item to Mr. Hakeem. This is just completely blindside, but this weekend is Sports Fest, and I just would like you to comment on it if you can.
I can very briefly, Your Worship, to Councillor Davenbury and the community. Yeah, it's Sports Fest weekend starting Friday night, going through till Sunday. And we have a number of activities noted on the website. So if you go to the City of Port Colborne website, it'll certainly give you all the information that you need. We've got a series of brochures that have been distributed throughout the municipality at various locations. So the information is out in the community. And we've had actually a pretty good response with the number of events and activities that we're hosting this year. So it should be a good active weekend, particularly at the Valley Health and Wellness Center. We are still running the Mayor's Cup. I believe the last number was either 14 or 16 municipalities and organizations participating in the Mayor's Cup. So you'll be on site. You don't have to plan it or anything like that. So yes, we're looking forward to a very busy weekend, as well as the Fiddler.
Thank you, Mr. Hakeem. Councillor Bodnar.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to do with snow, through you to the chief. Chief, are we okay with the fire hydrants that are buried in snow? Are we working on it? Do we want to ask the public for assistance to dig out the ones in front of their house? Or how are we going to work this? We got a shot at asking here, so.
Chief Cartwright.
Your Worship, thank you. Through you to Councillor Bodnar. I had spoken to the mayor prior to the meeting tonight. I wanted a couple of minutes just to talk about that very issue. Ron has a group of people that go upon complaints to assist in digging out hydrants. We've got our night shift doing it for a couple of hours each night. Anybody who phones and asks us to come and do it, we're doing it in the daytime. So if people have a hydrant in front of their home and they're unable to dig it out, call the fire department at 905-834-4512, and we'll certainly get our resources there to help dig out those hydrants. One of the things that came to light this afternoon is a bit of a neighbor dispute, shall I say. A gentleman called today and wanted our assistance. That he dug a hydrant out, the guy next door would blow it back in. So we went over this afternoon and dug out that hydrant with the hope that we won't need to go back to that particular resident. So the reality is, if you need help, call us, we'll dig it out. But we do have crews out each night and going out during the day on a requested basis and digging out hydrants to assist the city as a whole. So yes, if the community wants to assist us in doing that, we would very much appreciate it. If I can, just take another minute or two just to talk about another issue that's come to light. Another thing that I'd like to ask the residents to do is to check any vents that leave their home for their furnaces, their heaters, their hot water heaters, their dryers. There have been issues in the province of Ontario where there's been fires because these vents have been blocked. And I can tell you from my own house, I went out and checked the one on the east side of my house for a furnace vent, and it was within a couple inches of the end of that vent. So dig them out, keep your place safe, because you can get carbon monoxide back into your home, and or you can have a fire from an appliance inside your home. Thank you.
Councillor Kennedy, then Councillor Main.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't think Ron answered Councillor Elliott's question. Can an individual pile snow on their front lawn 15 feet high? Because they're a snow person themselves, so they're removing their snow from their property, and with the permission of the person who has the 12-foot or 15-foot drip, putting it on their front lawn. I've had two calls, one where and I've gone by both, but one where they've actually piled it so high it's blocking the sidewalk, which I've reported to bylaw enforcement to get that done. And the other one, not in my ward, but still answering, as a city councillor, still answering their question. They tell me it's 15 feet high. And that's in another section of the city. Can they do that without being smacked?
Director Aquilina.
Through Mr. Mayor to Councillor Kenny, there is no bylaw that says you can't store the snow on your property. The only bylaw we have that says you can't throw it on the boulevard or on the road. That's part of the boulevard, yes.
Councillor Main.
I just have two observations, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for letting me speak. The one observation is where we dump the snow, because it's considered a mild environmental. What if we just let the snow melt? Doesn't it go into the storm sewer and into the canal? Like, you know, it doesn't disappear even if we let it melt on the street and goes in the storm sewer, or we put it in a pile somewhere. It's still the same hazard. And the second comment is, if it is Mayor's Cup this weekend, Mayor, which position do you play?
Bench warmer.
Bench warmer.
Bad boy.
Councillor Doucette.
And one final comment from me. We just passed in the committee items an issue about Fair Street with DeWitt Carter. This issue has been an issue that I've been working on since probably October. I want the parents, and the reason I'm saying it now is that I want the parents to understand that this will give them 3 spots to park. It may even give them 4, but I'm not sure. I have to take a good look. But it'll give them 3 spots that they can park and stand for 15 minutes to go in and get their little ones and then come home, come back. There was an issue with them not being able to do that, and that's why staff went out and staff worked it out with the school, and there will now be a place for the parents. It was just a situation of safety more than anything else, and it needed to be worked out. And because it is worked out, the bylaw will also be passed shortly, and which will make it legal for them to park once the signs are there. So keep an eye on the signs, please. Once the signs are there, you'll be allowed to park and go get your children inside DeWitt Carter and come back out, and you will not get a ticket like you have been receiving in October and November. Okay? I think that's important for them to understand that that is allowed, it will be allowed.
Nothing further? Are there any staff responses to any previous inquiries? There being none? Then we'll move on to item number 12. What's that? Yeah. But that's the... Item number 12, adoptions of minutes of the second meeting, the special of the Committee of the Whole of January 20th, 2015. And we'll, if it's okay with council, we'll approve them in block. B, minutes of the third meeting, regular of Committee of the Whole of January 26th, 2015. Any questions or comments? Moved by Councillor Butters, seconded by Councillor Kenny. Questions or comments? There being none, call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Now, I'll move on to item number 13, consideration of items requiring separate discussion. That's items number 11 and 15. Councillor Bodnar, you were going to move on number 11.
I was going to, but looks like it started. But anyways, item number 11, that the memorandum received from Evan Axe, Economic Development Officer, dated January 29th, 2015, Marine Niagara South Coast Tourism Association promotional video be received for information, and that the memorandum received from Robert Heil, Chief Administrative Officer, dated February 9th, Niagara South Coast Tourism Corporation, be received for information. And Mr. Mayor, I believe that the Economic Development Officer is very anxious to play a video that's that the South Coast has just released, and it will be used in all of our. Oh, Evan, sorry, did you have something to say? I don't want to steal your thunder. Okay, all right. So this will be used anytime we do promotions for the South Coast. It'll be on our website. It's done up very well. It represents all 5 of the municipalities that are in it. And I guess we'll just have a quick look at it.
Go ahead. Councillor Bodnar, do you wish to comment further?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to say that this, you know, gives us one more bullet in our gun when we go hunting for tourists. So, you know, it's really professionally done, as you can see, and we will continue to update this, and it will be played as much as we possibly can. So I don't know whether our economic development officer has anything else to say, but I probably stole everything he was going to say. But
Evan, do you
I'll
have any
leave it up to
comment?
him.
Ron, thank you. You're a better spokesman than I am. I can't claim any part in the production of the video. It just kind of found its way to my inbox through the CAOs. So, but I thought that it was important for council to see, as did Councillor Bodnar. The Niagara South Coast Tourism Association is an ongoing development that staff is working with, trying to coordinate meetings with the other municipalities that are covered by the Niagara South Coast Tourism Association area, which is Welland, Pelham, Port Colborne, Wainfleet, and Fort Erie. Hopefully we'll have some very positive news to share with you in the future, soon.
Any questions of Evan? Okay. Go ahead, Councillor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you to Evan and Ron and the South Coast Tourism Association. When I first saw the video, I looked at it and went, where's that? And then the more you see it, the more you look at it and go, really, that's us? And it's such a great video, and the quality of the production. I gotta make a disclaimer. I have a conflict of interest because my uncle and my cousin are two of the cyclists and part of the cycling portion of it. But it is so representative of life south of Highway 20 and along the lakeshore. And the thought that kept coming to my mind was, why wouldn't you want to come here? Why wouldn't you want to see this? Beaches, restaurants, festivals, a great place to spend a weekend in the summer, a week. Heck, a great place to want to spend your retirement years or any of your years. Come here. And I just want to give kudos to the South Coast Tourism Association for that video, because it kind of nails what we want. Have a look, folks. Take a look at who we are and what we have to offer, and come on down and see us. It's a great invitation to send out to people, and I can't wait to see it around. And just as Councillor Bodnar said, it's a bullet, and I always wondered why they called it tourist season, and I guess we know now.
Any other comments of Mr. Bodnar or Evan? There be none, I believe you made a motion there, did you? Councillor Bodnar, is there a seconder for the motion? Councillor Kenny? Any questions or discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Councillor Main, item number 15.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This really isn't an item, more or less, it's the motion that Councillor Doucette made a few meetings back, and I'll read it for, it is a response to resolutions of the City of Port Colborne. City of Thorold regards City of Port Colborne's resolution regarding property tax relief for seniors. Well, I was doing my homework the other day, and I see Peter isn't here probably to answer my questions. And looking through our orientation book, there's an article here that says tax relief for low-income seniors and disabled homeowners. Under the Municipal Act 2001, single-tier and upper-tier municipalities are required to provide deferrals or other relief from tax increases attributed to reassessments in low-income seniors and disabled homeowners. A municipal bylaw to provide this type of relief also applies to school taxes. A similar bylaw adopted by an upper-tier municipality also applies to its lower-tier municipalities. Is there any response, Mr. Howell, to that?
Please, Mr. Howell.
Your Worship, if the upper tier passes a bylaw, it's in respect of low income. It's not a general, and I think the original motion was very broad. dealing with all seniors. But there is a program that can be approved by regional council in respect of some assistance. I do not believe that there is one at the regional level at this point.
Mr. Mayor, we can carry that over to the next meeting when. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Sinnes is here. Any other questions on that item? Okay. All those in favor? Oh, any seconder for that motion? Seconder? Councillor Kenny? Yes, Councillor, CA Ohio.
Your Worship, this is just an acknowledgement. We're just going to bring the information back. All this is that they didn't do anything with it. They just received and filed it, and we're just bringing it for information. But on this issue, we will bring back more information about the program that can be used on low income and disabled. We'll bring that back.
Moved by Councillor Maid, second by Councillor Kenny. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Are there any notices of motion, Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. None from me this evening, although members of council may have one.
Any notices of motion from members of council? There being none, I'd call for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Desmarais, seconded by Councillor Bodner. All those in favor? Carried. Now, if you're prepared, we will move into, would anyone like to take a comfort break? Thank you for that. And then 5 minutes, and we'll resume the regular council meeting agenda. I like this, yeah. Madam Clerk, are there any addendum items?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. None this evening.
Confirmation of the agenda. Do we have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Butter, second by Councillor Desmarais, that we adopt the agenda. Any questions or comments? There being none, call for the motion. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Are there any disclosures of interest?
Other than the bikes.
Other than what did you say?
Bikes.
Other than Councillor Elliott Spikes? I'd like to move for the adoption of, I'd like to ask someone to move for the adoption of minutes of the third meeting special of the Council of January 24th, 2015, and minutes of the fourth meeting regular of Council of January 26, 2015 in block. Moved by Councillor Doucette, seconded by Councillor Butters. Any questions or comment? Being none, call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Now, are there any council items requiring separate discussion? There being none? I would make a request a motion to adopt those council items that didn't require separate discussion. Moved by Councillor Kenny, seconded by Councillor Desmarais. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. There are no proclamations this evening. There are no minutes of board commissions. Are there any notices of motion? At this time, we have the introduction of and consideration of passage of bylaws for 3 readings. Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, that the following bylaws be read 3 times and finally passed. Bylaw 61881415 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 11509781 respecting lands legally known as part of lots 19 and 20 concession 4, former township of Humberston, now in the city of Port Colborne, regional municipality of Niagara, municipally known as 3986 Yager Road. Bylaw 61891515 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 89-2000 being a bylaw regulating traffic and parking on city roads. That being with regard to Fair Street. Bylaw 61901615 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 55851511 being a bylaw to designate the Julia Yager Community Center, municipally known as 2703 Chippewa Road, as being of cultural heritage value or interest. Bylaw 61911715 being a bylaw to confirm various appointments to agencies, boards, and committees. And finally, bylaw 61921815 being a bylaw to authorize entering into naming right agreement for the community room at the Valley Health and Wellness Center with the Golden Puck Hockey Committee.
We have someone to move those bylaws? Councillor Butters? Seconder? Councillor Kenny? Any questions or comments? There being none, call for the question. All those in favor? And we're passing this in block. Opposed, if any? Carried. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to move in camera.
Confirmation bylaw.
Oh, I apologize. The confirmatory bylaw. Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, that the following bylaw be read 3 times and finally passed. Bylaw 61931915 being a bylaw to adopt, ratify, and confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the City of Port Colborne at its regular meeting of February 9th, 2015.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Seconder? Oh, I thought you mover and seconder? Councillor Kenny, Councillor Main. All those questions or comments? There being none, call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. At this time, I entertain a motion to move in camera.
You're gonna read all of that, Your Worship.
Okay.
You have to read it.
Motion to go into camera session, closed session, that council do now proceed in camera in order to address the following matters. Minutes of the closed session portions of the October 14th, 2014 meeting, December 8th, 2014 meeting, December 10th, 2014 meeting, December 15th, 2014. 2 sessions that night. And January 26th, 2015. 2 sessions. Council meetings.
And item B.
And item B, Chief Administrative Officer, Special Projects and Corporate Strategic Initiatives, Report Number 2015-32, regarding matters related to Transport Canada lands pursuant to the Municipal Act 2001, subsection 239-2C-A as proposed, or pending acquisition of deposition of land by the municipality or local board. Is there a mover and a seconder for that? Councillor Wagner, seconded by Councillor Doucette. Any questions or comments? Call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried.